Today, we're going to have a look at the most common knives in a knife set and how to use them. Number one, we have the chef's knife. The chef's knife is around 8 to 10 inches long. It's semi-medium in thickness and it has a curved edge so that you can rock. The chef knife is the most common all-purpose knife, as you can chop, slice, dice, any kind of thing that you would need to do with a knife. But it is a large knife, and so it's not the preferred one for a lot of smaller hands. The second knife is the Santoku knife. It's also a chef's knife, but it's made in a Japanese style. The Santoku knife is a little bit thicker than the chef's knife, and it's really good for chopping because it has more weight to it and that straight edge. The slicer. It's thinner than the other knives, which is really good for thin slices. If your knife is thicker, it's going to push down more and make a sloppier slice. It's very sharp and a thin edge, and usually around 8 to 10 inches long. The bread knife, or serrated edge knife, is excellent for slicing into bread or even meats and roasts, where you have to have tons of little, almost like a saw. And so it'll cut things that have maybe a crispy outside and a soft inside without smooshing them. The utility knife is a miniature version of all of the knives we've just seen. It's got the serrated edge, but it's also got the curved edge, so it can chop, dice, slice, and do all those things, but not as well as each of the individual knives that are made for that purpose. And lastly, the paring knife. This is a tiny little thin knife. It's good for fine details, slicing apples, taking little pits out of things. This is the one that I personally use the least, but it's a very handy knife for that fine detail work. Let's slice a tomato with the slicer. This again has a thin weight to it, and top to bottom, it's not that tall. This is excellent for slicing. You want to have a sharp knife so that you don't have to saw in so much. When your knife isn't as sharp, it is going to push down. Unfortunately, mine isn't as sharp as I thought it was, so I have to just go a little bit slower. This is a very ripe tomato, though. Let's cut up a giant onion. If you don't use a lot of onions, like if you're just one person and you're really not super oniony, you can cut up your one large onion as chopped as well as sliced, and then just freeze whatever you don't use in your meal that you're cooking for the day. For this one, we're going to use the Santoku knife. And start by just cutting off the edges. Make a little slit and take off the outer peels. Doesn't have to be perfect. Next, we're going to do some slices. These are great for sandwiches, or if you want to make some onion rings, you could do that as well. The rest of it, we're going to chop. So if this is too much to handle, like it is for me, you can just start with a part of it and just start chopping. Now, the Santoku knife, you can use this way, and it'll chop straight through. And just kind of keep chopping until the pieces are the size that you want them to be. And this is kind of time consuming for one, which is why it makes it really convenient to prepare a whole onion and then just store it in a freezer bag until you need some. And little onion pieces, they'll thaw out real quick. So the smaller that you chop them, the faster you'll be able to use your pre-chopped onions. Next up, we have the serrated or bread knife and a loaf of bread. Now, a lot of times when people have a baguette, they will take just a regular knife, or they don't cut it right. They take that, if you've been to a restaurant with people and someone will do the bread and they'll just push down and you end up these little tiny crazy pieces of bread. So what you actually want to do is just lightly saw, and then you won't smush your bread, and it doesn't take that much longer. But if you want to have a fancier bread, what you can do is cut the end at an angle and then cut them this way. And what this does, it gives you slightly larger pieces of bread out of the very same baguette. But also, if you toast it, what happens is, see, this would be just cutting it straight across, which is fine. But if you do it this way, then when you toast it, you're not getting as much crust in each bite. See, if you were to bite this with the normal mouth, you would get a lot of crust and be kind of hard, and you'd have to yank it away from your mouth. But if you do it like this, you can have more stuff on it, like for garlic bread or bruschetta. And also, when you take a bite, you're going to get more bread part, and like it's kind of half and half of bread and crust. So it's easier to eat. I've had this knife set by Cuisinart for 7 years. I've never sharpened them, as you could probably tell by me trying to cut the tomato, but they're still sharp. What I love about this knife set is they're stainless steel knives. Now, stainless steel knives, if they're not coated in any way, they can develop little rust spots, which doesn't look nice. I don't know if it's harmful or anything, but it doesn't look nice. Now, they also make ceramic, these are ceramic coated, stainless steel, but you have to watch if you buy a knife set. Some of them are only ceramic, which it's not as, I don't think it's as great of a knife, to be honest. And the ceramic coating doesn't come off. I use these knives all the time. You can see the ceramic coating still there. Now, caring for your knives, this set, it comes each with the sleeves. You keep the sleeves and make sure that you put the sleeves on them before you put them back in the drawer. This will protect the blade and you don't have to sharpen it. As I've said, I use these almost every single day. Not every single one of them every single day, but mostly this one I will use every single day for the last 7 years, and it has never been sharpened. You also only want to hand wash them. You might think, oh, it's easier to just throw everything into the dishwasher, but that's going to dull the blade and it can also warp the blade. These do have a lifetime guarantee, but why let your wonderful knives go dull when you can keep them sharper for a lot longer? So I personally love these. There's going to be a link somewhere if you want to get this set. They're very inexpensive. Some of these knives that I've seen, they'll have like $200 for one knife, which is just ridiculous. I think you need one good set and take care of it, and it's going to last you a long, long time. Here's all my onions ready for the freezer. Isn't that a ton? There's so much chopped onions just from one onion. We'll see if this one cuts my tomato any better. I use that slicer all the time. It's my favorite knife. This one's too big for me. I saw a chef guy hold it here. It's too big. Yeah. This is an heirloom tomato with a real thin skin, and it's very ripe, so I'm kind of impressed.